KCAA 102.3 FM, broadcasting to the Moreno Valley, Corona, and Riverside.
Welcome to U-Turn Radio. Here at U-Turn Radio, we believe in big-hearted communities and small government. Join your hosts, Nadia Renner, Tom Murphy, and Eric Steinman, as we work to put local governments on a diet and champion the charities that support your community. So, come on, join us and let's turn it around.
Welcome to U-Turn Radio. For a minute, I couldn't hear myself, but I think we are live and direct. Is my mic on? Yeah, my mic is definitely on, but I can't hear myself. However, if we are live, I'm going to just keep going because I don't know if I'm live, and this is how you know we're doing live radio. Happy Sunday. Happy Labor Day weekend. If you guys are out there celebrating Labor Day weekend, we want to welcome you to U-Turn if you're tuning into our program today. We have a great show today. Today's show is County Fire I Protest. Is that how I want to say that?
Yeah, that's it. And I can't hear myself either, so we're so anyway, yeah, that's it's County Fire I Protest. And like you said, we're into big-hearted communities and small governments, and this is an example of how government is not getting smaller. In fact, what it is County Fire has a 10% hole in their budget.
How much?
10%. Which, if you math that out, that's $29 million.
$29 million. When you say 10%, it's like, okay, 10%. But when you break it into the millions, that's a lot.
Yeah, no, and I got
29 million is a lot.
And I got a little example later on of how much 29 million actually is. Yeah, their total, and now this is a requested budget. Their requested budget for this year, for the next fiscal year, is 277 million, and in their short 10% of that 29 million, and they got a plan. Typically, what they do in the past years is when there's a hole in their budget, and there is every year, they'll draw some from their reserves, just like you would, right?
Right.
If you're short on your budget, you take a little bit out of your savings. And if you have
some, I just got back from vacation, so I don't know how that savings is looking. But
well, the other thing you might do is go to somebody else and ask for a contribution, right? Yeah,
right.
I'm a little short. Can I borrow some money or something like that? Well, they're not borrowing it, but every year they go to the county, to the general fund, and say, hey, can you fund this hole in my budget? So that's what they've done for years. They're going to do something different, and we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, I mean, other than asking for money, something that I normally do is before I started doing radio, I did makeup. So then I do more of that type of stuff. Like, how can I get like a client to do makeup on, or what can I do to bring extra money, whether it's getting a second job. And usually that's, I think, what people do is look for a second job.
That's exactly. We're gonna hit that.
Because I think that we are, I mean, I don't know how many people would really lend me money if I were to ask. I think I can count them in one hand only, and it's most likely probably going to be my parents. If we're really being honest. But before we keep going on with the show, we definitely want to say happy birthday to our video content here at U-Turn Radio. Duran, happy birthday. We wish you an amazing birthday and celebration. And she's here live with us too, celebrating her birthday.
Happy birthday. I would clap, but I think that's kind of irritating on radio, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, I won't do it.
So yeah, we like you were saying, the fire department is 10% in the hole. That's way too much money. And like I was just saying too, which I guess it's kind of like a question for you, is there other ways for them to get money if they're this deep in the hole?
Not really.
Okay.
Because of their government, there's actually a preset, there's a defined list of ways that they can bring money in. They're doing all those things, if you will. So there's not a way to get more. Well, that's a long story. Let's move on to we'll get into it. Go ahead.
Okay. So just if this is your first time listening to us here at U-Turn Radio, all of our listeners that call in get a reward. Yes, that's right. If you call in, we will spin the wheel, and you win from hundreds to thousands of dollars on behalf of your favorite charity. You heard that right. From hundreds to thousands of dollars. You could just call us at 909-792-5222. That's 909-792-5222. And we will definitely donate the money that you win on your behalf to your favorite charity operating here in the Inland Empire. And we also want to invite you to go to our website and check out any previous episodes. If you enjoy the show today, we have a lot of this type of information and content on www.uturnradio.com. That's www.uturnradio.com. You can also, if you have any questions for us, you can also email us at info@uturnradio.com. That's info@uturnradio.com. So that's how you can get in contact with us if needed to.
And just as a reminder, our faithful webmaster, Netroka, has added a little feature to that U-Turn website, and that is the amount of money that we've been able to donate to the big-hearted community here in the Inland Empire. And so every time we make a donation, it spools up, and I think it's somewhere between $6,000-7,000.
Nice. And you can definitely go on our website too and see the charities that we've already donated. And even if you work for a charity, we invite you to call us in and let us know what you guys do here in the Inland Empire with the charity that you work for, and give us a little information. We'd love to be part of that and donate some money.
Outstanding. Okay, so
let's get into it.
Okay, here's the deal. According to the the California Budget and Policy Center, the average single person, I know you're not married, so I pulled up the average single person, needs a little bit more than $25,000 per year to make ends meet living in San Bernardino County. Now, I don't know if that's like real.
I was just going to say, like, I'm trying to do math here, and I'm like, 25,000, that even sounds a little bit like a little short.
Is it
I feel like
I was just trusting the numbers from the California. It sounded low.
I mean, rent alone a month, it goes anywhere from $1,200 and up here in the Inland Empire.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what they say, and that really isn't the point.
Okay.
The point is, let's say it was $25,000.
Okay.
Okay. And let's say that that you're looking at your budget and you're like, I'm 10% short on my budget, my $25,000 a year budget. I'm 10% short, about $200 a month, a little bit more. What would you do to try to mitigate this shortfall?
Depending on time, there's a few things that I would do. If I have enough time to try to either find a second job, or like I said, I did makeup before I did radio, so I would try to do something along those lines and get a client to do makeup on. And depending on how much, so $208, I would probably need like at least 2 to 3 clients. And if not, if I'm really running low on time, I would ask kind of like my lifesaver if I can borrow some money, and usually that would be my parents.
Okay, so exactly, you'd hustle more, right?
Something, yeah. I would have to figure it out.
More activity. You go out and try to, gain more money doing something, right?
Absolutely.
Well, County Fire, as we said at the head of the show, they're short their budget 10%. Now, 10% for County Fire is a little bit more than for Nadia Renner.
Yeah, it's $29 million.
$29 million, which I looked this up just before. If you were to stack $1 bills on top of each other, $29 million would go just shy of the height of Mount Baldy or Mount San Antonio, whichever.
No way.
It'd be a little bit shorter, but yeah, if you stacked them all up. So that's the shortage. That's what County Fire is short.
That's a lot. Like I said, when we say 10%, it doesn't sound as bad as $29 million. Or if you've like you just did, if you give us a vision of what it would look like if you stack $1 bills up, that's a lot of money.
Right, yeah.
That's tons of money.
So they got a problem, right? They got a shortage in their budget. Now, this is where the analogy doesn't work out so well, because county fire, they don't have the ability to increase their activity to bring in more money. You know what I'm
Because they
saying?
can't.
Right, it's not like they could take on extra fires, or, hey, let's go get some more hazardous spills.
Right.
That type of thing. It's a service they provide at whatever cost. They aren't charging per fire or per hazardous spill or per fire call or something like that.
I think this is so interesting because sometimes we don't think about that. Like, for example, if you cut hair or if you do makeup, you get money by each client. So you get more clients, or even like just any type of business, restaurants, you get more clients, more money. But that's true. Like, it's not like they could get so many fires and say, okay, we're going to get more money. So my question is, how do they make their money? Is there like a particular budget, or how does this work?
Okay. The way any government agency gets money is essentially by taxation. Now, there are other terms that the government is going to use as it takes your money from you. Mm-hmm. In general, there's taxes, there's assessments, and there's fees. Those are probably the three, if you will, most general ways that they take money out of your pocket. I'm going to kind of use the word taxes as a shorthand for all of those, but they are different.
Because it could be different fees, is what you're meaning?
Yeah. A tax is basically a percentage of something. So like California got Prop 13, and that limits the amount of money that the government can tax us based on our property value. It's basically 1% of the property value, and there's a formula on how much it can go up. But if you have a piece of land, with a house on it that's worth, $500,000, then every year you get a tax bill
Right.
for that. That's one way. Another way they can extract money from you is an assessment. And this might be, let's see if I can think of an example. Well, in this case, let's say you live out in Hellendale, which is out near Barstow.
Okay.
Long time ago, Hellendale decided, you know what, we would like fire services here, but we don't really want to create our own fire department, right? Mm-hmm. So they self-imposed an assessment on their own property. I think it's like $140, $150 a month or a year now. And basically that whole assessment goes for fire services.
Just for their city or like their community?
Yeah, for their community, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an assessment. And then a fee is, there's kind of a wide variety of fees, but, if you go to the dump, if you got a big truckload of stuff, you got to go to the dump. You drive up, they weigh you, and they say, okay, that'll be, $50 or something like that. So there's your fee for that they can charge. So that's, in general, that's how government, particularly local government, can take money out of your pocket.
Gotcha. However, I just remembered one of our previous shows with Mayor of Calumet, Jeff
Hewitt.
Mm-hmm. He did something like that too with the fire department, if I'm not mistaken, right? In Calumet.
Well,
he did like a particular budget, and he brought down budget for the fire department.
Right. Yeah, that's what he did. And again, he's using tax money.
Okay.
But he's using it differently and more efficiently. Basically, what he did was opt out of the whole CAL FIRE kind of fire services and said, we're going to do this in-house because we can do it better, faster, cheaper. And he's done that very successfully. He's got a full-time fire department out there, fully professionally trained. But he's been able to do it. I think he's saving his city somewhere in the neighborhood of like $1 to $2 million a year. And Calumet is not a large city.
Right.
So
that's amazing. I think whatever that is whatever he's doing or whatever that plan is happening, maybe that can be a lot helpful to the 10%, or like I like to say, the 29 million. Just gives me like a better perspective of how much money they're in the hole here in San Bernardino.
Right. Yeah, and that is definitely what we would encourage elected leadership in local areas is to begin to look at stuff like what Jeff has done out in Calamasa, but that's not what the Board of Supervisors of the county did.
What did they do?
Well, what they did was, here's in the middle of June, there was a board meeting where this issue was addressed, and it was a budget presentation by Chief Hartwig, the fire chief of the whole county. And basically, he said, here's my budget, $277 million. I'm short 10%. And, thank you, county. You guys have always funded my shortfalls in the past, and I know you will this year. But I got a plan, okay? I got a plan so that you won't have to do that in the future. And here's my plan. My plan is I got this thing called Service Zone 5, where and it's a pretty small area of the county. I think somewhere in the area, if you clump it all together, it's about 70 square miles, maybe. Might be a little more than that. Which the whole county itself is huge. It's like 20,150 square miles. So what the chief proposes is that I'm going to expand, he doesn't do it. This is a proposal to the Board of Supervisors who he works for. Why don't we expand Service Zone 5 to include the entire unincorporated area of the county? And when we do that, we'll go ahead and add a yearly assessment or fee or tax. Kind of interesting. It doesn't really say in the thing.
Right.
And there's reason that we'll get for that. But we're going to go ahead and expand that fire zone, and then in doing that, every property owner out there is going to have an additional, I think, is $157 a month extra.
A month?
I'm sorry, not a month, a year.
Oh my God, I was just going to say, no way. I mean, I know they're in the whole $29 million, but $157 for each person that owns something. I mean, that's...
Yeah, no.
That's a lot of money.
It's a year.
Okay.
It's per year, so you think, what is that, like $12, almost $12 a month? Why is that such a big deal? Well, for some people, that is a big deal. I read a letter to the editor from someone out, I think it was in the Yucca Valley area, and she's a senior, lives on an income that's capped, and that extra $12 is going to be a hardship for her.
Well, I was just going to say, at the beginning of the show, you said that somebody single like myself would be able to live off roughly $25,000 a year. And I definitely don't think that that's enough, I would say. But to add what you would think is just $12, I mean, it makes a difference in the long run. I think that sometimes we don't take into consideration these type of things. That's why we sometimes get these different fees that it doesn't seem like a big deal at the time. But when you put it all together and you add up all these numbers at the end of the year, I mean, that's like you said, $157 at the end of the year that could go towards, one of your bills that you have to pay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what they call death by 1,000 cuts. And as you look at, little nick here, little nick there, pretty soon you're bleeding to death, right?
Right.
That's exactly what this is. If you across the board, Americans spend the most on housing, right? Mm-hmm. And then what they spend the most next, do you think it's schooling?
No, I would say
food.
No.
Car? Nope. It's taxes.
Oh, really?
If you clump in everything you pay for taxes, that's the number 2 item in your budget. You just don't know that you're doing it.
You see, I think this is what is so cool about what we're doing here is because we're kind of bringing this information out. For example, just previous shows that we talked about and that where we break down numbers and like what you're paying, different type of fees, I would never be aware of. Just we had the pharmacy industry show maybe like 2 weeks ago, and then the breakdown of like insurance. It's all these things that, like I said, keep adding up, and we have no idea. And they sometimes even label these different fees with different names or different things, where it's so blinded by what we're really paying in the long run. I feel like.
Yeah, it's just next time you get gas, there should be a little sticker on the gas pump, and it tells you how much of that gallon of gas goes to federal taxes and to state taxes, and I think it's close to like 70 cents a gallon. Is going for taxes.
Yeah.
So you know, kind of that all adds to that number 2 category.
That's
in your
why
budget.
I'm saying I think like sometimes we're not aware of it. Like I didn't know like the pharmacy show that we had, the breakdown of that. You could definitely listen to that on uturnradio.com. Just the breakdown of like adding $157. Like you would probably just say, oh, it just went up, or gas going up, oh, it just went up. But technically it's really more about the taxes than anything else.
Yeah, it is, and one of the things, like I said, it's death by 1,000 cuts, and one of the things that traditionally the political establishment in government in general has done is they reach into your pocket, but they don't take it out in huge
Slums.
Yeah, it's just a little bit from everybody, but as you add it up over time, it becomes very, very burdensome.
Well, I'm assuming that's maybe how the fire department got in the whole 10% or $29 million. It's like little by little they start using, more money than what they should be using, and that's how it starts adding up, and then that's how you say, oh my God, we are $29 million in debt, kind of, right?
Yeah, according the chief, I actually went and listened to. Okay, so let me step back. What the Board of Service, what the county board decided at this meeting was that they agreed essentially to the chief's proposal, and that was let's expand the service zone to include everybody in the unincorporated areas of the county, and that'll bring us in, after you kind of do all the math, that'll bring us in about $27 million a year. That'll cover most of your shortfall. But can they do that? Do they have the statutory ability to do that? And the answer is yes. Interestingly, the text of the California law there, they don't have to vote on it.
Why is that though? I mean, because it's not like it's something that is, it's something new. So if I'm a house owner, I wouldn't want somebody to say, oh, hey, by the way, here's another fee of $157. It's kind of rent control for certain areas, certain cities, where it's like, I feel like there has to be some type of control with fees like this. Like you can't just raise money. That's a great point. And we hope to interview these folks in 2 weeks. There's an area outside of Upland that's unincorporated called San Antonio Heights, and 2 years ago, that's exactly what happened to them. They weren't paying anything other than their normal property tax. Service Zone 5 expanded, included them, and suddenly they're paying $150, $160 a year, and they never got to vote on it. And they were not happy because they didn't have the opportunity to vote as required by California law. And so they took the county to court, and it's in court right now. Absolutely, because if you think about it, we're getting these fees or they're raising these fees, but for the regular person, it's not like we're getting, our jobs are not giving us raises every so often. It's once a year, and if we get lucky, it'll probably be like, what, $1 maybe?
Yeah.
So
keep up with inflation.
Yeah. So really, that's so difficult when you say 157, and you're like, well, it's not like we could go to our boss and say, hey, can I get a raise because I just got $157
wouldn't that be nice?
So I think like this is what is really important to understand these things, and I think it should be one of those things where we should definitely be able to vote on these type of things, because it becomes very unfair.
Yeah, absolutely, and looks like we're going to have to go to break here in a second. And when we come back, we'll talk about the vote, and I put that in quotes, that we get on this issue.
All right, when we come back here on U-Turn Radio.
We'll be right back to U-Turn after this commercial break. Don't go away.
The House of Ruth has been providing life-saving domestic violence services since 1977. Participation in House of Ruth programming is open to all battered women, men, and children. Domestic violence is a public health issue. 1 in 4 women are abused by their partner, and it's 1 in 7 for men. Even 1 in 3 teens are exposed to dating violence in their relationships. If you or someone you know needs help or support, House of Ruth can help. Call the House of Ruth 24-hour crisis hotline, 877-988-5559, or visit their website, houseofruthinc.org. Come soar with us. We're Zip Lines, located in the San Gabriel Mountains, right next to Mountain High Ski Resort. We offer the thrill of a lifetime, zipping through one of our 2 zip courses that are literally built in the trees. Our Canopy Tour is one of the most ambitious zip line courses in the nation, offering heights of up to 300 feet above the forest floor and lengths of over 1,500 feet. Our mountaintop tour provides another amazing zip line experience and, as a bonus, a very unique experience. Imagine leaping off a tree platform in a controlled free fall. Now, imagine doing it twice. These are not for the faint of heart, but we know you have the right stuff to soar with us. For further information, please visit our website at ziplinesPC.com. That's ziplinesPC.com. You can make sure we hold a place for you by selecting your tour package and date online. That's ziplinesPC.com. Come soar with us.
How would you feel if you had to make a choice between buying food or spending your fixed income on life-saving medicine? No one should make that trade-off, but many low-income seniors are forced into difficult decisions like this every day. Smiles for Seniors Foundation provides energy assistance and safety net services to struggling low-income seniors in the Inland Empire. They provide one-time assistance to seniors to meet specific financial needs. They've helped with food, housing, utility payments, minor home and auto repairs, along with life-saving prescriptions or medical equipment. A nonprofit foundation funded entirely by donations from local organizations. Smiles for Seniors receives no funding from the state or federal government. They are funded by local businesses and individuals like you with big hearts and willing wallets. You can find more information or to donate to Smile for Seniors at 909-790-6671. That's 909-790-6671, or visit smilesforseniorsfoundation.org. That's smilesforseniorsfoundation.org.
Tom, Nadia, and Eric are back with more only on the U-Turn Radio Show right here on KCAA.
Welcome back to U-Turn Radio. Great show today. We were actually, right before our great commercial break, we were talking about the fire department. And if you don't know and you're just tuning in, the San Bernardino Fire Department is in the hole by 10%. If we talk about in dollars, that's $29 million, which is such a high number. And how does it affect us citizens? Well, like Tom explained, the chief of the fire department has a plan. And the plan is, hey, why don't we get the citizens to pay a fee of roughly $157 a year, and that would put us roughly at $27 million to cover most of what we're in the hole for.
Yeah, and to be clear, this only applies to the folks in the unincorporated areas of the county.
Okay.
So if you kind of look at a map of the county, essentially, the unincorporated areas, this is a general thing, are basically the mountains out to the border in Needles, and then on the west side, basically up 395 until you get to, I think it's Kern County up there. So it's a huge area, but you know, this doesn't include citizens that are living in an incorporated city, like Rancho Cucamonga. Duran, you live there. You have a fire department that is created and run via taxes taken out of Rancho Cucamonga. It's not a county fire department. So this is an unincorporated. And it's probably, I think about, okay, except for there's a few cities or entities that have either contracted with county fire to provide services, or have, and this is next week's show, for lack of a better term, have been kind of gobbled up by county fire in terms of providing services. So like Fontana, where you live, county fire provides services there, and the money that you pay in taxes from your property tax funds their effort there.
Got it.
San Bernardino City, 2 or 3 years ago, they had an issue early 2010-ish, I think. They went bankrupt, came out of bankruptcy, and pretty immediately offloaded their fire department to the county.
How does a fire department go into bankruptcy?
No, it wasn't the fire department. It was the
county,
city itself. The city of San Bernardino went into bankruptcy. They came out, and one of the things they did pretty quickly after they came out was they offloaded fire services.
Got it.
Since I don't know, probably since when the city was actually begun, or it had been a municipal activity. There was a San Bernardino City Fire Department. But I think it was about 2015. Long story, maybe we'll hit it next week. With the LAFCO said, hey, we want to shift this burden of service over to the county. So they did that. Anyway, the point in all that is that this applies to unincorporated areas of the county that are going to have to start paying this fee if the protest process is not successul.
And what's the protest process like? What do they have to do, or citizens have to do for this to happen?
And this is the part to me that's actually pretty interesting is not so much the procedure, it's pretty boring government stuff, but the why behind it. But anyway, if according to the text of the law that kind of governs how the Board of Supervisors can do this, they essentially just have to put out a resolution that say, hey, we're going to expand Service Zone 5. Put out a resolution, give a certain amount of time for people to read it. They got to publish it in, I think, 3 places, post it in 3 places, that type of thing. And then they have to have a meeting at some point and listen to whatever, whatever people disagree or something like that. They have to listen to that,
Right.
Consider the objections, and then at the end of that, they can just kind of wave their wand and say, it's done.
Like this is already happening.
Yeah, they can, if you will, speak it into existence. They have the ability to do that.
So pretty much they have the power to do that with, even if there's a protest, even if there's signatures, whatever.
Exactly.
This is so interesting because I just got back from Costa Rica, and the fishermen started protesting, and what they did is they blocked streets, like main streets throughout the country, usually like where there's loading stuff where the boats come in to load and unload. So, and it actually happened to us where they just blocked the street, and it causes tons of traffic. Like, I mean, everybody had to like pull over and turn off their car and kind of just wait it out with them. So what happens is that the police can't get involved because they have the right to protest, and they do that so they can get the government's attention to say, hey, we've been telling you that, you know, we need these restrictions, or you need to take these the restrictions away, because this is how we make our money, and this is how we like take care of our family. And so the government kept pushing them away for over 6 months. And so now they do these protests to this level, but it affects everybody because the people that are working can't get home. People that are visiting can't get to because they block bridges, like the key bridges to get from one town to the other. So, but they said, and we're not going to move until the government meets with us and they figure out what we're going to do. Sure enough, it was 1 a.m. Some way there was phone calls made, and so they have a meeting coming up. But their people over there are very big on protesting and having the government listen to what they have going on. And I thought it was so interesting because we said, this is kind of interesting how they're blocking these huge bridges that are needed to get from one side of the town to the other, or to get into the city. And that's how government really pays attention to the people. I mean,
can you imagine if people in the unincorporated areas of the county were to actually block 15 or 215 during
imagine, and people can't get nowhere and then obviously police can't do nothing because they're protesting. It was just it was the most craziest thing I seen, because if I wish I would have brought the video, but there's cars lined up, I mean miles and miles, and that was just one bridge. So imagine all the different bridges in the area.
Yeah, and if you were to do that here, obviously the Board of Supervisors would respond to that. But that's not how it's going to happen here. And
what are we looking at here?
Here's why. Despite their ability via the California law really to just impose this, after that kind of period of conversation, they added a couple of little tweaks to their resolution. And the particular tweak that they added is what's called a protest process. And essentially, what this is I think they're going to send out letters beginning September 14th, and it's 30 days, and they send out letters to every registered property owner in the unincorporated area of the county. So if your name is in the county assessor's office as owning a piece of unincorporated property, you'll get a letter. And actually, if you own it jointly, like with your wife or something like that, she'll get a letter.
Right.
And what the letter basically says is, hey, do you want to expand Service Zone 5 to check yes or check no? I don't know what it says because the county hasn't let the letter out yet, but that's essentially what it says. Do you think they're going to tally all the yes and all the no votes and decide, okay, who wins based on that?
Absolutely not. When they have to pay back $29 million, I don't think they would do something like that.
You're thinking like a politician.
However, let's just really give that date out again. It was September
4th, September 14th, the letters will go out.
Okay.
And then I believe it's 30 days the property owners have to respond and get it back.
So just so you know, if you live in these cities would be kind of like, what cities would you say?
The unincorporated areas this would be, let's say the Hilt, or like Big Bear, Arrowhead,
okay.
I believe. Basically, all the desert out to the Nevada and Arizona borders, unless they're in a town with the fire department that's already functional, you're in this pot.
Okay.
Same thing, desert over 395 up to Ridgecrest. If you drive by the nearest fire station that says county fire, you're included. So rather, when they get these back, most places you'd think, okay, you tally up all the yeses and nos, and
Right.
whoever wins, right?
That's what I would think.
No. That's not how it works. This is a protest process. Essentially, the county assumes that you have voted yes. If they never hear from you, if you don't get to that letter in your
Wait,
stack,
so you're meaning to tell me if you don't reply, that's like a automatic yes.
You got
You are willing to pay that extra fee.
you got it. Yeah.
Oh, this is so interesting. You see, this is why you want to listen to U-Turn Radio, because you learn these type of things. You want to look out for September 14th for that letter, because if not, you pay these type of fees if you don't send back that letter. However, I have one other question too, because I feel like sometimes the way that it's like these letters that they send out, the way that it's formatted, or maybe like the verbiage that they use is not necessarily as clear, because I feel like there's sometimes where I'll read something, I'm like, oh, well, this is not applicable to me. How is it? Because it's not going to break it down that if you don't return this letter,
here's what I can't speak to the actual text. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
And as far as I know, the county hasn't released it yet. I can, however, like I said, I did go to one of these briefs that the chief's doing. He did hold up an envelope an envelope that'll look like this will come to your, and quite frankly, I could very easily, be running through the mail, look at that as junk mail and shred it.
Oh, you see, like even that, like I think that even happens to most of us. So you just voted yes because you thought it was junk mail. And these are the type of things I feel that are so important now. Like I feel like sometimes you even have to call and check in, like just to be very clear about what is it? Is it junk mail, or is it something that is going to be applicable to me, or is it not? Like I feel like there's a lot of different things that sometimes we get in the mail that we really think is junk mail, or don't read thoroughly and then realize like, oh, that was that, when it's way too late.
Yeah, no, and it very much, and again, if they don't hear back from you, you're an automatic yes. They have to have a letter signed by you or somebody who represents you and has legal authority to do so, with the vote, with the no box checked to count you as a no vote, and that still doesn't. Let's say 30%. Okay, let me step back. The numbers on this are 25% and 50%. So if 25% of the people in the unincorporated area of the county get this letter, read it, understand it, check no, send it back, what do you think happens?
25%?
Yeah.
If I'm taking this wild guess right, I would say 25% is still not enough. We need at least 50% and up to make this a no.
Well, it's still a no, because there's another calculation they throw in there.
What? I'm almost scared to ask. What is it?
They tabulate the value of the land, the assessed value of the land. So
wait, hold on. So they evaluate depending on how much land you own as a citizen?
You got it.
Okay, so if I own a small piece and I understand the letter and I send it back and I say no because maybe I have a smaller piece than other, it won't really count as much?
Okay, that's a great point. You have your yes, no vote, right? And that's straight yes or no, one or one, right?
Right.
But you have the assessed value of your land. And if you have a little, 20 by 20 plot somewhere or something like that, that's not going to be very much. And that's not going to count very heavily in the 25% of the value of assessed land that it will for, I don't know, gold digging corporation that has, 200,000 acres or something like that of land who might vote no or might vote yes.
This is so interesting. So there's a two process.
Yeah, there's
two
hurdles.
processes. Like you gotta to really get a no. So it almost seems like it's interesting how they're sending this letter out so you can vote on it, but technically there's something else behind that vote if it is that you send back that letter.
Yeah,
so why would they even send out a letter if they still can?
But, that is the key question. Let me hit one more thing before I get there.
Okay.
And that is that the best quote I read on this was from the San Bernardino County Sentinel, and that was, as far as they know, no protest process has ever been successful. In other words, this process is so wired by the government that to get 25% of the people that own more than 25% of the land to respond is nigh impossible. Okay, and if you reach those two hurdles, if you get 25% of the owners and they own 25% of the value, it's still not a done deal. Then it has to go to a straight up down yes no vote at the next election.
Okay.
If you get up to 50%, then they can't implement it. But like the Sentinel said, it has never happened as far as I know.
That also seems like such a long process that it almost seems like it's just easier to say, okay, we're going to raise this fee, and that's just what it is, because from that breakdown that you're just describing right now, it seems like, so difficult in some weird way.
And now we get into speculation, because I'm going to speculate. I'm going to guess on why the San Bernardino County supervisors. Well, let me step back. Why the fire chief recommended this course of action, and why the county supervisors bought off on it. Now, to be fair, the vote, 5 supervisors was 3-2. 3 yes, 2 no.
Okay.
The two
so
that
we know
voted,
who said no?
Yeah, the District 1 supervisor, Robert Lovingood.
Okay.
And then I think District 2 supervisor is Janet Rutherford. We did the interview with her. Yeah. Supervisor Rutherford, in her comments, said her area includes San Antonio Heights, and said, this is a mistake. Our folks deserve and want an open up yes/no vote.
Absolutely.
And they deserve it. And in the whole history of California law since Prop 13, like I said before, the short 40 plus years, has been California voters saying, we want the ability to vote on tax increases. And then later on, Prop 218, let's make it a lot harder to increase assessments, that type of thing. So the supervisor understands people get hacked off when you just drop this on them without a true vote. So my speculation is that this is essentially political cover. Okay, they got this substantial budget deficit, and they don't really want to pay it from the county general fund and keep paying it like they have been. So they have this scheme to where they're basically just going to impose the expansion of the service zone and therefore the added tax. But politically, that's really difficult to swallow, right?
Right.
It's
absolutely.
a little bit like your visit down there where they're
they
blocking
blocked
the
off all the roads.
People don't like being taxed without the ability to choose to, right?
Right.
So they insert in this protest process, which is not required. It's all political cover for the Board of Supervisors to say, hey, you guys voted on it. You agreed to have this service zone expanded and this assessment put on you. It went through the process and it was voted. Sorry.
This is a little nuts. Just because, if, like we said, if you get this letter and you think it's junk mail, or you maybe read it but didn't really understand that you have to return it. If not, you're going to get those fees. That's when it becomes really unfair, because you probably thought it, like I said, it was junk, or you didn't get it, and you forget about it up until later, and then it's like you didn't reply, so it says yes. So in some type of way, I think it's really important to, as citizens, that we really need to like be aware of these type of things. The fact that it goes to two different process, even if you understand the text of the letter and you send it back and you say no, you still have to own a certain amount in the long run, the long process, to have kind of your voice heard a little bit more, so that fee doesn't happen. So I think it's almost like a setup for citizens, because even if we are aware, and like here at U-Turn Radio, we're giving you this information, September 14th, important day, write it in your calendar, and you do everything you can, you really need more of the citizens to make that difference. Yeah, and anybody who's listening, a real good resource for this is an article in the San Bernardino County Sentinel. If they just go to that page and search for supervisors tempt fate, Mark Gutlick does just a great job kind of laying out where the whole thing came from, what all the issues involved, and kind of basically hits at what you're saying, and that's they're trying to slip this one by us. I think this would be a great opportunity, Tom, if we should tweet that article. Okay. So we'll invite the listener. You guys can go to Twitter at U-Turn_radio. That's at U-Turn_radio, and we'll tweet that article. Okay. So they could have access to it through our social media. But I think that would be great. And you can also, if you miss the beginning of this show, you can definitely go to uturnradio.com and let's get caught up with the other episodes that we have, because we have really good stuff like this where it's very informative. And like I said, I didn't know the fire department was in the whole 10%, which is 29 million. And what I would like to say, the setup is for the citizens to pretty much vote, if that's what you want to say, vote, or the option of respond. Voting. And that I would encourage our listeners, if they get that letter, read it carefully, understand it. I would say mark no and send it in. Yeah. And we're going to hit this next week. We're going to kind of hit the why. Why is County Fire, in the whole 10%, $29 million? And we'll talk a little bit more about maybe a larger budget issue or budget issues with the county. I definitely want to know.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
Are you ready for some football? I'm Jeff Nathanson. The NFL regular season starts on Thursday night as the Atlanta Falcons will face the Philadelphia Eagles. Looks like Carson Wentz is not quite ready to play, so Nick Foles will be a quarterback for the Eagles. Roster cutdowns today in the NFL. A couple of surprises in the quarterback department. The Broncos have released quarterback Paxton Lynch, and the New York Giants, set with Eli Manning at quarterback, have waived quarterback Davis Webb. Once again, the NFL season starts on Thursday. Let's go to baseball right now. Earlier today was the Cubs over the Phillies 8-1. Javier Baez had a solid hit.
And Baez hits a high drive, deep left center. This is going to be number 30 and RBI number 100 on one swing. Long home run to left center by Javier Baez. And listen to the Cub fans here at Citizens Bank Park.
That home run part of the hit parade for the Cubs. They down the Phillies 8-1. Other finals for Major League Baseball: Tigers over the Yankees 11-7. Blue Jays beat the Marlins 6-1. The Brewers winners over the Nationals 9-4. The final in that one, and the Royals dropped the Orioles by a score of 9-1. College football coming up. It's Miami and LSU. Other action today, including the U.S. Open tennis. Winners today on the court, including Rafa Nadal and Dominic Thiem. more action coming your way on that one. Once again, a couple of cutdowns in the NFL, including Broncos quarterback Paxton Lynch, at one time thought to be the future for the Denver Broncos, and Davis Webb cut from the New York Giants. I'm Jeff Nathanson, NBC Sports Radio, and the NBC Sports Radio mobile app.